we?
With it.
Frank, go for it.
Galen, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. I'm just curious, what was it like to have that competitive juices
Head down, like damn. No eye contact, damn.
running through you once again, even though and then also putting on a show as someone who knows the fans are here to see you.
Yeah, I mean,
That reaction right there tells you everything you need to know. Watch her face the moment she realizes who's asking the question. That's not surprise. That's recognition followed immediately by visible discomfort. The smile disappears. The eye contact drops. The energy shifts completely. This is Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files, a beat reporter who's covered the Indiana Fever all season. And Caitlin Clark clearly does not want him there.
Anyone, shall we?
Lynn, I'm Caroline Collins from Visit St. Pete Clearwater over here. Hi, great job out there.
Damn! Look at that. Look at Look at that smile. Laying up like a Christmas tree.
Today, just wanted to ask you if you and your teammates got to do anything fun in the St. Pete Clearwater.
Look at that, dude. The whole entire time this woman's asking the question, Caitlin Clark's making perfect eye contact with her.
Just wanted to ask you if you and your teammates got to do anything fun in the St. Pete Clearwater area and just what you think of this beautiful place.
so, I mean,
Now watch this interaction from the exact same press conference. Just minutes later, different reporter walks up, and suddenly it's like watching a completely different person. Full eye contact throughout the entire question. Genuine smile lighting up her face. She's leaning in, engaged, giving detailed answers about her family vacations in St. Petersburg. The contrast is absolutely jarring. Same event, same day, same Caitlin Clark. But the energy couldn't be more opposite. So what did Scott Agnes do to earn that kind of reception? Because this isn't about having a bad day or being tired after a long tournament. This is specific. This is personal.
Asking questions. Oh, goodness. Folks, you ever have that one person that you'll be around, whether it's at work, right? Whether it was at school growing up, maybe a family reunion, a family gathering, a get-together, the in-law shows up, the cousin shows up, the uncle, the aunt, and then just instantly, as soon as they arrive, the energy just shifts, right? As soon as they show up, a dark cloud just comes hovering around that environment. Sometimes it even trickles down to you, right? You at work, you won't be disrespectful, but you'll be short, you'll be brief, hard to crack a smile, hard to garner any type of...
Think about how you react when someone you genuinely like shows up unexpectedly. A friend you haven't seen in months walks into your workplace. Your face lights up immediately. You're excited, energized, happy to see them. That's human nature. We can't fully control those initial reactions. They're instinctive. But when someone you don't trust appears, when it's that coworker who threw you under the bus, or that family member who always starts drama, your body language changes instantly. You get shorter with your words, harder to crack a smile. You're polite because you have to be, but there's zero warmth behind it. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Caitlin's a professional. She's going to answer the questions, but she's not giving Scott Agnes anything beyond the bare minimum.
Let's see what exactly transpired. I'm not going to give you some stills. Let's get it in its full context, shall we?
with it.
Frank, go for it.
Galen, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. I'm just curious, what was it like to have that competitive juices
Head down, like damn. No eye contact, damn.
running through you once again, even though and then also putting on a show as someone who knows the fans are here to see you.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at her body language during his question. Head down, eyes avoiding contact. She's literally looking at the ground while he's talking. Then when she finally answers, it's mechanical. No enthusiasm, just getting through it so she can move on to the next reporter. Compare that to how she treats the reporter from Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Someone she's never met before in her life. She's making direct eye contact. Before the woman even finishes introducing herself, she's smiling. She's animated. She's volunteering extra information about her family's connection to the area. That's what genuine engagement looks like. The difference isn't about familiarity. It's about trust. And Scott Agnes clearly doesn't have it anymore.
Her fans bringing a darkness with them, a dark cloud with them. That's one. That, she probably didn't like that. Number two, Scott Agnes taking it upon himself to reveal an injury that the team was actively hiding. And that created even more division within the fan base. Caitlin Clark has to be looking at him like, dude, the amount of shit you did to the fans that follow me, the amount of division that you cause within the fan base that follows me, I'm gonna have to let you feel it a little bit, Scott. You're not getting any cosigns out of me. You don't think Caitlin Clark knows who Fieldhouse Files is, Scott?
So what happened? Why does one of the WNBA's biggest stars treat a beat reporter who's covered her team all season like he's radioactive? Two incidents stand out, and both of them created massive controversy within the Fever fanbase. First incident. July 2024, Scott Agness publishes an article calling Caitlin Clark's fans the dark side. Not some fans, not a subset of problematic accounts. He characterized the entire wave of new support that Caitlin brought to the WNBA as a dark cloud, bringing negativity to the league. Think about that from her perspective. You're a rookie who just shattered attendance records, brought unprecedented viewership to women's basketball, and generated more mainstream attention for the WNBA than any player since maybe Diana Taurasi. And the reporter covering your team is publicly trashing your fan base. That's not analysis. That's not constructive criticism. That's alienating the people who show up to games, buy jerseys, and support the league financially. Caitlin's smart enough to know that narrative hurts her brand and divides the community around her team.
You win, shall we?
Lynn, I'm Caroline Collins from Visit St. Pete Clearwater over here. Hi, great job out there.
Damn! Look at that! Look at look at that smile, laying up like a Christmas tree.
Today, just wanted to ask you if you and your teammates got to do anything fun in the St. Pete Clearwater.
Look at that, dude. The whole entire time this woman's asking the question, Caitlin Clark's making perfect eye contact with her.
Just wanted to ask you if you and your teammates got to do anything fun in the St. Pete Clearwater area and just what you think of this beautiful place.
So, I mean,
But that wasn't even the biggest issue. The second incident cut deeper because it involved trust and professional boundaries. During the 2024 season, the Indiana Fever were actively hiding an injury to one of their key players. Teams do this all the time. It's strategic. You don't want opponents knowing your vulnerabilities. You don't want media speculation becoming a distraction. The organization made a deliberate decision to keep that injury information internal. Scott Agness broke that story anyway, published the details behind a paywall on his platform, revealing information the team explicitly wanted kept quiet. Now you can argue that's good journalism. Reporters should break news, hold teams accountable, give fans information they deserve. That's a legitimate perspective. But here's the other side. Caitlin Clark and her teammates now know they can't trust him with sensitive information. If the organization shares something off the record, if a player mentions something in confidence, Scott might publish it anyway because that's his job as a journalist. That's the inherent tension between media access and media coverage. And this is where it gets complicated, because both sides have valid arguments here. From Scott's perspective, he's doing exactly what beat reporters are supposed to do. Break news, provide insider information, give subscribers content they can't get anywhere else. The injury revelation wasn't malicious. It was journalism. The dark side comment, while poorly phrased, came from his observation of toxic behavior within certain fan communities. He's not trying to sabotage Caitlin or the Fever, he's trying to cover them honestly. But from Caitlin's perspective, she's watching this reporter create division within her fan base and expose team strategy that could hurt their competitive advantage. Those aren't abstract concepts. They have real consequences. When your fans are fighting each other over whether they're part of the dark side, that's a distraction. When opponents know about injuries your team wanted hidden, that affects game planning. Watch this clip again with that context. This isn't just Caitlin being cold to a random reporter. This is her making a calculated decision about how much access and warmth she's willing to give someone who's burned bridges with her organization. Notice she still answers his question. She's professional enough to fulfill her media obligations. But there's zero extras. No follow-up details. No personal anecdotes. No enthusiasm. Just the bare minimum required, then moving on. That's actually a pretty mature way to handle it. She could have refused to take his questions. She could have called him out publicly. Instead, she's just distant, polite but cold, which sends a clear message without creating another controversy. Here's what makes this particularly fascinating from a media dynamics perspective. Caitlin Clark is arguably the most media-savvy player in the WNBA right now. She understands her brand. She knows how to work with journalists who support her narrative. She's careful about her image in ways that most 22-year-olds aren't. So when she treats Scott Agness like this at a public press conference, that's intentional. She knows people will notice the contrast between how she treats him versus other reporters. She knows clips like this will circulate, and she's okay with that, because the message she's sending is more important than avoiding awkwardness. The message is simple. If you create division within my fanbase and expose information my team wanted protected, you don't get the friendly version of me anymore. You get professional courtesy and nothing else. Think about what that means for other reporters covering the Fever. They're watching this interaction and taking notes. They see that crossing certain lines with the organization or alienating the fanbase has consequences. Not legal consequences or formal sanctions, just access consequences. The difference between getting thoughtful, detailed answers versus getting the bare minimum, that's leverage. That's Caitlyn using her star power to shape how she's covered. And whether you think that's appropriate or problematic probably depends on whether you prioritize player comfort or journalistic independence. Scott Agness is in an impossible position now. He can't stop covering the Fever. That's his job. That's his platform's focus. But his relationship with the team's biggest star is clearly damaged. Maybe irreparably. Every press conference is going to have this tension. Every interview request is going to get the cold shoulder. That makes his job significantly harder. But here's the thing. He probably knew this was coming. When you publish that injury information against the team's wishes, when you characterize a player's fanbase as the dark side, you're making a choice. You're prioritizing the story over the relationship. Sometimes that's the right call. Some stories are worth burning bridges. The question is whether these particular stories met that threshold. Was revealing a mid-season injury worth losing Caitlyn's trust? Was the dark side commentary worth alienating the fanbase you need for engagement and subscription? Those are calculations every journalist covering high-profile athletes has to make. And based on Caitlyn's body language in that press conference, Scott's calculus didn't work out in his favor. She's done with him. Not publicly feuding. Not creating drama. And that might be worse for his long-term coverage than an outright confrontation would be. Because there's no resolution here, no clearing the air, just permanent distance. The broader implication is about power dynamics in sports media. Players, especially superstars, have more leverage now than they did even 5 years ago. They can choose which reporters get access. They can build their own media platforms and bypass traditional journalists entirely. They can use body language and selective engagement to punish coverage they don't like. Is that good for journalism? Probably not. Independent, critical coverage requires access. And if that access gets cut off whenever players are unhappy, we end up with sanitized PR-friendly content instead of real reporting. But is it good for players? Absolute. Why should Caitlyn be obligated to be warm and friendly with someone who's made her life harder? She's still answering questions. She's still fulfilling her contractual media obligations. She's just not pretending to like it. This dynamic is going to continue throughout her career. As she gets more famous, more powerful, more valuable to the league, she'll have even more ability to shape her media coverage. Reporters who want good access will have to consider whether critical stories are worth the consequence. And reporters like Scott Agness, who prioritize independence over relationships, will find themselves on the outside looking in. So the question becomes, was breaking those stories worth it? For Scott, maybe yes. He got exclusive content, demonstrated his journalistic independence, and built credibility as someone who won't be controlled by player preferences. But he also lost the trust of the WNBA's biggest star, and that's going to follow him for years. For Caitlyn, the calculation is different. She's sending a message to every reporter covering her: respect my fanbase, respect my team's strategy, or get the cold shoulder. That message will shape her coverage going forward, for better or worse. Who's right here? That's for you to decide. Drop a comment below with your take. Should reporters prioritize breaking news even when it damages relationships with players? Or should they consider the consequences of their coverage? Because this tension isn't going away. It's only going to intensify as player power grows and traditional media access becomes more conditional. If you found this analysis valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage that goes beyond the surface level. We're breaking down the stories behind the stories, the dynamics that shape how this league operates. See you in the next one.